Good morning, students. We shall continue our class with the next chapter, which is chapter number 9. This is all about Introduction to QBasic. This chapter is also included for your third unit test. We have chapter 7, 8, 9, 3 chapters for third unit test. So this will be the last part of your third unit test syllabus. So before we go through the introduction part of QBasic, let us first of all know what is a programming language. Let's see, a programming language actually helps us to give some instructions to a computer to perform some task. It helps us to give some instruction so that we can perform some task on the computer. This is all about your programming language. So your QBasic is one such programming language. A QBasic is a programming language that performs some task. We will be giving some instructions by writing some programs, by writing some codes so that the computer can perform some task. So this is all about your programming language. There are so many different kinds of programming languages that we have with us. One such programming language is your logo. Last year we have learned this particular program logo was all about commands. It helped us to draw some shapes, draw some lines, and do some mathematical calculations. This is one such programming language. It helps us to perform some task, and with the help of computer we are able to perform some task. So this is all about programming language. Your QBasic, your logo are such programming languages. So in the next part we will talk about QBasic. So what actually a QBasic is? I already said that it is a programming language which will perform some tasks. So basic actually stands for beginners all purpose symbolic instruction code, which means some symbolic instruction. Based on some instruction we will perform some tasks. So your QBasic is actually a version of basic. Version of basic means it is a part of basic. So QBasic is actually a part of basic, which was created by Microsoft, and it appeared around 1975, which means it was developed around 1975. So it is actually a simple computer language. It is very easy to learn and it is also very easy to use as well. So it stands for quick beginners all purpose symbolic instruction code. It was developed by John G. Kemeny and Thomas E. Kurt. So these two were great programmers who have developed this particular language called QBasic. And remember, your QBasic is a part of BASIC. So BASIC stands for Beginners All Purpose Symbolic Instruction Code, whereas QBasic also stands for Quick Beginners All Purpose Symbolic Instruction Code. It is based on some kind of instructions, some kind of programs through which we can do some kind of task, such as maybe some programming, printing your name, or maybe doing some kind of calculations. This can be done out of this particular programming language. So this is all about your QBasic. So next we shall talk about working in QBasic. How can you work in QBasic? How to start QBasic? So to start a QBasic programming, what we have to do is we have to download a particular file. The name is qb64.exe. It is a 64-bit file. This particular file, which is qb64.exe, is a 64-bit file. So this particular file needs to be downloaded so that we can start working with this particular programming language. So this particular file can be downloaded from the given below two websites. I have shown you two different websites. You can quickly download from this particular websites. So this particular program can be downloaded from these two given websites. So this is how we can start working with a QBasic. So without having this particular file qb64.exe, we cannot start working in this particular programming language. So that is why the topic has been given as working in QBasic, which means to start working in QBasic we need to download this particular file called qb64.exe and can be downloaded in the given below two websites. Next We will talk about components of QBasic screen. Remember, whenever we have downloaded the file qbase64.exe, and after downloading, if we install this particular file in a computer, and if we start working on this particular file, that means when you open this particular file, the QBasic file or the qb64.exe file, what we get to know is we get a particular screen. So we will talk about this particular screen today. There are some components to be learned on this particular screen. We will see what exactly those components are. So before that, let's see what this screen is all about. See, the screen of QBasic is called IDE. It stands for Integrated Development Environment. Here it is a platform, it is a place, it is an area where we can perform all the activities. Remember, the activities like relating to programming, such as maybe editing, maybe compiling, and finally the execution, that is the running. We can do these three things in our QBasic screen. The three things that we do in our QBasic screen are editing, compiling, and execution. So these are the activities that can be performed. So all the activities here does not mean playing some games, playing some football game or cricket. It does not mean this. It means that the activities that are related to some programming, such as we can edit, we can make some necessary changes, compile, that means to check the program, and executions. So let's see, what does editing, what does compiling, and what does execution mean. So the first thing that we can do on a QBasic screen is editing. So what does editing means? Editing means to write a program and make necessary changes, to write a particular program, those instructions, and if required we will make some necessary changes. This means editing. Next, compiling. What does compiling means? After writing the program or after making the necessary changes, after editing, what we can do now is to check the program that we have written, whether the program is correct or not. So this process is called compiling. Compiling means after writing the program, after making all the necessary changes, now next our task is to check whether those programs are correct or not. So this is a process of compiling, checking. Next, after finishing this particular task, what we need to do is we need to execute. We need to run the program. Execute means to run the program to produce some output. So these three things can be carried out on a QBasic screen. And I already said that a screen of QBasic is called IDE, Integrated Development Environment, where we perform all these three different tasks: editing, compiling, and execution as well. Next, we will talk about components. So on our QBasic screen, we have different components. These are our main components: title bar, menu bar, cursor bar, status bar, scroll bar, program area, immediate mode area. These are the components that are associated with our QBasic screen. So we will talk each one of this particular components in the coming classes. I will explain each one of them, showing you where does the title bar lie, where does the menu bar lie, where does the cursor bar lie. All the other components will be explained in the next video with the detailed descriptions. So until then, you go through this particular video. This is all about the introduction part of your QBasic. So that's all about today's class. Thank you.